vaguely confused her. As far as Estelle was concerned, life was meant to be endured, not enjoyed. Then she realized the voices were arguing. Two boys about Estelle's age hovered over a much smaller one. The younger kid was crying. He seemed terrified. Estelle? No, she hated a bully. She stomped up to the kids and demanded to know what the problem was. She found out real quick. The older boys wanted this kid to go into the cemetery and sit on the statue everyone called Black Aggie. Estelle knew of the statue. Of course she did. She'd buried 8 bodies in the cemetery, but she'd never heard about the lore behind it. When she said so, the teens filled her in. Black Aggie, they said, is a bronze statue of a woman. The person who created her originally called her Grief. But don't let that fool you. She's evil. Grass doesn't grow at her feet. Pregnant women can miscarry if they get too close. Black Aggie presides over the dead, too. You run from her, she'll raise the cemetery's ghostly hordes to fetch you back. But maybe the worst thing, if you sit on Black Aggie's lap at midnight and she gives you a hug, you only get 2 more. The younger kid was shaking in fear. And look, Estelle didn't want to be anywhere near the cemetery. But the thing was, this kid reminded her a whole lot of her dead little brother. As the eldest of all her siblings, Estelle had been the de facto parent when her own had passed. I point this out because she had essentially been a mother, but had that instinct. She wasn't about to let this kid rot. Plus, she didn't believe any of the crap those teens had just told her. My grandma was pretty practical back then. Monsters, superstition, the supernatural, she called hooey on all that at the time. As far as she was concerned, God wouldn't let something like Black Aggie exist in a Christian cemetery. All that's why Estelle found herself weaving around gravestones as midnight approached. The air seemed to get colder with each passing step. Crows shrieked in the skeletal trees. She took the long way around, avoiding her family plot. So it was a bit of time before the outline of Black Aggie rose against the night sky. Estelle stopped in front of her. There was a lifeless patch of dirt at the statue's base. No grass, just like the legend said. But it was also winter, so she didn't read into that. The statue was made of bronze with a blackish hue to it, though an oxidized bluish green peeked through in places. Aggie was seated on a pedestal, a cloak pulled over her head, but it was her face that Estelle couldn't look away from. Her features were set back in the cloak, almost hidden. Heavy lidded eyes looked down. A hand was gently pressed against her cheek. Her lips were parted in a downward pout. It made sense why Black Aggie's creator named her Grief. It was the saddest expression Estelle had ever seen. She tore her eyes away from the frozen, melancholy face. Checked her pocket watch. 11:59. The kids would never know if she actually said it. It's not like she had anything left to lose. She climbed onto the statue's lap. It was freezing. The metal absorbed the cold like an ice pack. Estelle's legs went numb immediately. She tried to ignore it and focused on her watch. The seconds ticked by. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Midnight. Estelle looked up at Black Aggie's face. It was as still and somber as always. She sort of smiled then, just as she'd thought. A blasphemous tale meant to make a holy place feel terrifying. She swung her legs around and went to hop off Aggie's lap, but she couldn't move. When she looked down to find out why, she saw 2 ice-cold arms had wrapped themselves around her waist. Strangely, Estelle didn't panic. Not right away. She just tried to get off Black Aggie's lap, but the arms wouldn't let her. In fact, they squeezed tighter. The heavy metal cut into Estelle's skin, pressing into her diaphragm, squeezing the air from her lungs. That's when she panicked. She clawed at the appendages, trying to pry them off her, but they just got tighter. Estelle screamed and craned her neck around to look up at Black Aggie's face. The statue was as stoic as ever, but the eyes weren't cast down anymore. They stared up at Estelle. A glint of red flashed through them, the angry kind. The arms tightened again, making Estelle sputter. Blood rushed to her head. Her vision swam. Black Aggie's red eyes swirled in a colorful wheel of delirium. Then, the pressure released. Estelle pitched forward, plummeting from Black Aggie's lap onto the patch of iced-over earth in front of her pedestal. Estelle winced as her stocking snagged and the rough dirt split the skin on her knees. She scrambled to her feet and
just stared. Because as much as she wanted to run, she also wanted to leave knowing she'd imagined the whole thing. 10 minutes went by and nothing happened. This was about all the time Estelle was going to give it. As she hurried away, she told herself all the excuses we've heard time and time again. The dark, the cold, the trauma from being in that graveyard, so close to family. All that had probably made her imagination run wild. By the time she got to the cemetery entrance, she felt better, and the other kids looked relieved when she said the coast was clear. Black Aggie was just a statue. Except, maybe Estelle was more worried than she thought, because she couldn't sleep that